In this video, I want to discuss the simplest definition of Buddhism, the simplest way to conceptualize and experience what Buddhism is all about, and that is everything changes. And when this is experienced directly, it can change everything because so many of us, we are caught up in these abstract worlds, these left brain created categorical entities that give the appearance, the illusion of stability. And of course, the favorite is the self. And so we may say things like, I am depressed. Everything about that points to the illusion of stability, as if there's a stable I that could somehow have the attribute of being depressed across time. Notice how completely different that is than the flow state. Csikszentmihalyi, the psychologist, called this flow, where you're really directly experiencing reality, and instead of being caught up in stable things, which are illusions, you're continuously flowing. It's kind of like, imagine there's a river, and that's reality, continuous change flowing. And when you get into that state, there's no time, there's no ego, you are in the moment, in the zone. And then you take a picture of it. That's the left brain. It wants to create of course, that's maybe why we all take pictures of so many things, because reality is flowing, but we want to stabilize it and create a stable, consistent image that will persist across time. And that's what the mind does way before we had cameras. And so the mind creates these snapshot-like mental versions of reality, and it persists in buying into these rather than experiencing the flow across time. So if you're watching this channel, chances are you've gone on this adventure. Who am I? And when we ask that question, when we pursue the know thyself philosophy, and we do this in a way that we are hypnotized by the thinking mind, what we come up with are more abstractions. I am a professor. I am a writer. All these things, it gives the illusion of stability because, I can't be a writer. I'm not writing right now. And so all these identities, they come and they go in the same way that depressing thoughts may come and they go. It's all in that state of flow. And so when you ask the question, who am I? But you're not doing it with this left brain thinking mind, that's when it all gets really interesting, because what you find is that it can't be put into words. It's elusive. It's like William James talked about. It's like a top you're spinning, and then you want to see how fast it's going, so you have to stop it. And so when the thinking mind tries to answer this, it goes down the path of abstractions, and that's all it can find. The thinking mind can't enter into that flow state because it will take a picture of it instead of being it. And so when you're in the flow state, there's there's very little interest in coming up with abstractions, but there's the direct experience of absolutely embracing the mystery of who you are, because that's what you are at the moment is what you are, what you are doing at the moment. And that's a completely different way than talking about abstractions that are consistent across time, because it's going to change. When you do something different, you are going to be something different. And so in this self that we talk about, there's two versions of it. There's an abstract, stable self that's illusory, and then there is the flow self. And the flow self is something it can't be taught. It can't be, it's your adventure. It's your adventure to discover the absolute uniqueness of that moment. And see, that's one other interesting thing about the categories. Categories are all the same. And so that left brain creates these categorical worlds, and that's why Mondays can feel so, it's like Groundhog's Day. It's like, it's Monday again. And of course, that can have real world consequences. It's fascinating that, and unfortunate that most heart attacks happen on Monday, because that stable sense of, it's Monday again, we buy into it, and it creates its own effects. It creates its own ill effects to it. When we get out of that and we recognize every moment is absolutely unique, that is the flow state. Not only is every moment unique, you are in that moment, and you are also unique and changing.